Story 1. My dad is currently dying, so this hits home a bit for me. My dad wasn't perfect either, but he was a great man that, to be honest, I can't really fault. I think the most important thing I learned from my dad is his critical thinking and his compassion for others. His patience was at a level I've never seen since, and still is, even while on death's door, and I hope one day to have a fraction of his patience and understanding. His incredible ability to stay calm under pressure and communicate with people in a calm and positive way is admirable. His ability to do things his own way without fear of judgment and always succeed is something I can only dream of being, but it is something I work towards regularly. Edit. Thank you all for your kind words, advice, and support. It means a lot. For those of you struggling with loss at any stage, I wish you strength and love. Feel free to message me if you ever feel you would like support or just someone who might slightly understand. Thank you for the awards. First time for everything, I suppose. Story 2. Cocaine is a fantastic drug. It's why I had to stop using it. I liked it too much. This was an actual quote from my dad when I was 16. I truly believe it's why I never sought out cocaine or why I avoided it at parties. I have an addictive personality. I would have likely enjoyed it too much. Story 3. His vision was that the children should be in a better state than the parents. He grew up very poor with 5 other siblings. They didn't have a permanent home and had to work and cook and do everything for himself and his siblings because they were poor. Now, as a parent, he has a home for us, a car to use, and does not have to suffer what he went through. Now he teaches us that we should be better than him because he knows that we can do better and be better. That's why every day I do my best to strive harder and be better, just as he wanted for us. Story 4. Tough titty, said the kitty, but the milk's still good. Cut my lip worse than that shaving, and I kept on whistling. Quieter than a cat pissing on cotton. And so many other little phrases. Story 5. 1. It's better to learn from the mistakes others make. It's cheaper. Ask as much as you can. People tend to talk about more than they initially intended. Better to think for 3 hours and work for 1 hour than to think for just 1 hour and work for 3 hours. If something is heavy, leave it on the floor and repair it there. It won't fall down then. Don't let your desires think for you. Dispose of your condom by yourself. Nobody owes you anything. The only ones who give you stuff for free are your parents. Don't lend anybody money. When it comes to money, you will lose friends. Even the family may break. If you promise something, keep your word. 10. Family is above all. I have more, but that is enough, I would say. Story 6. 2 things that really stand out. 1. Always be kind, polite, and thankful to anyone who helps you. Whether it's a retail worker, cashier, waitress, waiter, or even some random person on the street you just asked for the time or directions. Being kind and polite to others is key to being a good human being. 2. Don't see the color, see the person. He told me his parents were very old-school racists and brought him up to believe the same things they did. This would have been back in the early 1960s, I think, when he was a kid. He realized in high school that color doesn't make the person. Even if they have a different vernacular, that doesn't change who they are as a person. Story 7. My father isn't getting any Father of the Year awards, but he taught me 2 things. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't have kids unless you're ready for the long haul. Story 8. My dad taught me how to fix a lot of stuff. I will definitely pass that knowledge on. He taught me a lot about maintenance for vehicles, tools, even houses and appliances to make them last as long as possible. He taught me to cook. He taught me to shoot. He taught me knife fighting. He taught me a lot about gardening. I could probably write a book at this point. Story 9. My dad is a trash truck driver who always goes the speed limit and never speeds unless he absolutely has to. When he started teaching me how to drive, he told me there's never a reason to pass someone going the limit because half the time you usually see them at the same stoplight next to you. Story 10. I didn't like it as a kid, but I thank my dad constantly for it now as an adult. I would get a birthday card with a 20 or something in it. My dad would take out his wallet, put the 20 in, and take out 2 5s and a 10. He would then give me one of the 5s to spend however I wanted. Then he opened a savings account that I could watch grow over the years, and he'd put the remaining $15 in it. He taught me to put away whatever you could whenever possible. I've been living a relatively comfortable adult life for over a decade now based on that simple lesson. I plan on teaching my son the same once he gets old enough to understand. Story 11. How to use hand and power tools was a very big impact my father taught me. Usually, I would hold the flashlight, but sometimes he would let me fix things with him. I never really cared for it until I got my first place after college with a roommate. He had no idea how to use a screwdriver to tighten a screw on a door hinge, paint a section of the wall, or even drill a new hole for a wall hook. Self-reliance was important to him, and I want to pass that to my kids one day. Story 12. My dad's constant motto of "it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it" has saved me so much time, money, and headaches. Bringing something with me because maybe they'll ask for it has been beneficial. Even if I didn't need it, the fact that I don't have to worry about missing something provides a nice peace of mind. To this day, I always have a first aid kit in my car, always bring a long sleeve shirt and a pair of pants on a trip even if the weather says it'll be warm, and I keep a second form of identification on me because you might just need it. Story 13. My father has never been a part of my life, but that's a significant reason why I want children. When I have children, I want to give them what I missed out on. Story 14. Bring your tools close to your work. Basically, if you are doing something, keep all of the components you need close by. For example, if you are taking food, bring your plate close to the serving dish. If you are screwing something in or fixing something, bring all your tools close to your place of work and keep everything consolidated to streamline the process. Story 15. If you are comfortable, then who gives a damn what anyone else thinks? He taught me this when I was 5. I made fun of him because he had his legs crossed in what I thought was a feminine way. He said, "I'm comfortable. If you are comfortable, then who gives a damn what anyone else thinks?" I stopped caring about what anyone else thought from that day forward. I hope to pass this on to my son. Story 16. My father isn't exactly every kid's dream, but he taught me to never go back on my word. This is something that I plan on teaching my child, especially if I have a son. Story 17. He taught me many lessons by example, both positive and negative. Positive: work ethic and competency. Being courteous and personable to acquaintances and strangers alike. Negative: be more patient, calm, and less prone to anger. Let go of grudges and pay attention to your health. Story 18. Nothing. He was absent growing up. But my daughter will never know how that feels. Although I did not have an example of what a father should be growing up, I have figured things out as we go along and I think I am doing okay. One important thing I am trying to teach her is how she should expect to be treated by boys when she gets older. In a few short years, I am going to teach her to drive. Story 19. Be honest. Spend time with your kids. Play a sport or have a team-based hobby that you will enjoy into adulthood. Give people a smile when you walk by them in the hall at work. Smile when talking to people. Remember people's names and use their name when talking to them. Story 20. Hiking, camping, hunting, survival. If you have 2, you have 1. If you have 1, you're done. Packing essentials like water purification, fire starters, etc. Obviously, not everything needs a backup, but waterproof matches would come in handy if all you had was a lighter after taking an unintended plunge. Story 21. Stop worrying about moving out of state. If you are a decent person and you work hard, good people will find you. It has already happened every time you have moved. To that point in my early 20s, my dad was always low-key with compliments and discussing any of my successes. I was like, "Damn, you're right, Dad." Total confidence boost to realize it was not coincidence that good people were gravitating toward me and it was not just luck. Dad also always taught me to live frugally and work hard, stay focused on goals while still having affordable fun. That and maintaining my car so I would not have a car payment. Love him for all of those things. Story 22. My father taught me how not to be when I become a father. I met him once for 20 minutes, and he didn't even care. I'll never do that to my future child. I want to teach my son or daughter how to respect themselves and others, how not to let fear be the driver in their life, and how to be a leader, not a follower. They should make their own decisions and draw their own conclusions. Story 23. I learned through my father that alcohol is not worth the cost. I very rarely drink alcohol, and when I do, it's only to have something tasty to drink. Never for a buzz. I am not talking about the monetary cost of drinking, but there's another cost that I have seen way too many times. Story 24. My dad is a bigot, religiously fundamentalist and intolerant, formerly cruel to animals, ignorant, and an incurable misogynist. I admire very little about him, but he is sticking by my mom in her old age as she devolves into dementia. He refuses to put her into a home and has absolutely rearranged his life to care for her. So, although I can take no past lessons from, nor summon any admiration for my father, it's possible that I'll still learn something from him in the present or the future. The jury is still out. Story 25. My father taught me financial planning from a young age, mostly out of necessity. It has helped me a lot so far, and I still trust him for many financial decisions. I have been able to finance a house at an age when people were just starting out in new careers. I was able to save enough to fund my master's mostly by myself, without taking a huge loan. However, he is not really the best at connecting with himself or the family. He hardly took time for himself or for us. I don't blame him because our family couldn't afford anything if he took time out in his line of work. Now that he is close to his retirement, he has reduced his working hours and is trying to connect more with us. I will try to be present as much as possible in my children's lives without being a helicopter parent. Story 26. When you are on the road in your car or on your vehicle, always tell yourself that only you have eyes and everyone else in the city is blind. Great advice. I have never had an accident, major or minor, in my license's history so far. But we lost him to asthma, chain smoking, and a fatal punch on the chest during a mugging incident. I was just 14. Story 27. My father never lied to me. My father told me never to let someone else put their hands on me without paying the cost. My father showed me the value of hard work. My father was loyal to his woman. He showed me actions are louder than words. He showed me you have to be there for your kids, but you have to kick them out when they are almost ready. He showed me that to get the best fruit, you have to go further out on the branch. Story 28. Warranties are useless if it's something that you can fix yourself, like with cars or furniture. Family is more important than you realize. Think then act. Don't act then think. Story 29. Well, my mom lied and alienated me and my father from each other. He didn't run away. I do wish I had taken his advice because now I'm being alienated from my own child. So I can't really give her advice on not being a bad woman, since she's around one all the time. Story 30. My father died when I was 14 years old. During that time, he taught me many lessons which I have taken to heart. Among other things, he taught me what happens when you raise a child in such a way that the child is terrified of the very thought of you. He taught me the consequences of not being involved with your child in any way whatsoever. Not to help him with school or sports, not to teach him anything or open his mind to the world around him. He taught me that humor is supposed to be insulting, disgusting, racist, sexist, or misogynistic. He taught me that it is, in fact, possible to drink beer and smoke a cigarette while driving a car with your wife and 2 children in it, towing a 21-foot boat, doing 65 miles per hour on a major highway. He taught me the power of playing favorites with your children to such an extent that the family unit is shattered beyond repair. He taught me that children are not to be seen or heard, especially after a couple of beers, and he taught me the difference between a leather belt and a studded leather belt. And finally, he taught me that there is no power in the universe stronger than cigarettes and nothing, not risking your family's health, not a diagnosis of cancer, not even the surgical removal of large and significant portions of your body, can get in the way of that sweet cigarette. In short, my father taught me how to be a dad. Not by example, but by a profound lack thereof. I have a 14-year-old daughter now, and I am the opposite of my father in every respect that matters in regards to parenting. I talk to my child, and more importantly, I listen to her. I help her whenever I can and stand behind her when I can't do anything else. We talk even about dumb things and hypothetical things. She isn't afraid of me, even when she messes up, which isn't actually often. And when I mess up, which is far more often, I apologize to her and she accepts it, and we hug and life goes on. I help her with her schoolwork. She's an honor society member now and is entering ninth grade doing 11th grade math and language arts. She does Taekwondo, Girl Scouts, and 4-H. We go fishing together and spend lots of money at the arcades at the boardwalk in the summer. We share memes and cat pictures. I've taken her exploring, we've gone snorkeling, done a little light cave exploring, got an ultrasonic microphone and listened to the bats in the backyard, stayed out late and looked at the planets with a telescope, made dry ice bombs, and all kinds of fun science activities. She loves it all, and I couldn't be more proud of her. Story 31. He taught me that knowledge is power. Reading books, adding to your vocabulary, speaking multiple languages, knowing how things work, and how to do basic things like changing tires and fixing a light bulb. Knowledge is a tool used to move up in the world.